Game theories about Five Nights at Freddy's are out of this world. Now, I've been loving Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach for quite a while. So, when I saw MatPat dropped a new theory, I knew we had to check it out. Welcome back, friends, and a special welcome to all the new friends out there. I'm Yo BGS, and y'all seem to love the first Five Nights at Freddy's game theory I reacted to. So today, we're checking out the SECRET Afton. It's a Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach game theory. To say I'm interested is beyond anything, because like where we go with these, nice, I picked the wrong thing. Where they go with these are so far out of the realm of what I've even considered. And at this point, I've been watching a lot of Astral Spliff, you know, and all the Five Nights at Freddy's weird challenges going on. By the way, friends, if you dig this video, if you like what I'm doing, please make sure to check and see if you're subscribed. It helps the channel out more than you know. And then I know that you want to see some more Five Nights at Freddy's stuff as well. So here we go.
Gregory, do you see that bit of green spinach in your teeth? Have you ever heard of Fortnite, Gregory? You need to floss. You need to floss, Gregory.
Okay, of all the things I thought we were going to be starting out with, that is none of it.
Well, this is embarrassing. I'm gonna let you guys have this one, and I'll see you next game. I always come back, and you know the bit.
Did we?
Apparently, Apparently, Afton is now so disappointed that he just yeeted himself out of there.
No, we did not, Superstar.
I can't hear Superstar now without thinking of CG5's song, by the way.
Welcome to Game Theory, the show that's proud to pick the nerdiest option available.
Anyone that picks Monty Golf is just a nerd.
Woo! Gator Golf! Joke's on you, Mark. Fazcam is OP. Plus, being
Fazcam is so broken. And, ew? What the damn hell is this? But also, the Fazcam is broken, and also beating Monty is a very effective thing to do before you go after
Roxy.
Roxy.
Me to discover the secret daycare room and sister location room. So who's the nerd now? Me. It's still me. Last time we dove into the time travel.
Yeah, did y'all know MatPat got like a perfect score on his SATs? He is a nerd. That's an awesome thing. It's a great achievement. But like, if you do that, if you get a perfect score on your SATs, you're a nerd. It's just the way the world works.
Pit that is Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. I walked away with some, let's just call them divisive conclusions. Basically, it was an episode with 3 separate theories packaged together. We proposed one, that Glamrock Freddy wasn't just your average sentient animatronic, but rather was possessed by the spirit of Michael Afton doing everything he can to protect Gregory. This one was...
The Michael Afton part, I don't know. I agree that he's possessed because we see him physically fighting with himself, especially at the end. Like the Afton ending, you see Freddy legit fighting himself.
Generally well received, so cool, let's keep going. Why would Michael protect this random kid? Well, because 2, Gregory, whether literally or symbolically, is Michael's younger brother, FNAF 4's crying child.
Now, it wasn't symbolically in the first video. It was a very literally thing. It was, wait a minute, let me see if I can remember right. Gregory is a robot that is possessed by the crying child.
I started to lose people at this point, but it was really theory number 3 that threw us for a loop, because there's a good bit of evidence in both the game and in the history of the franchise to suggest that 3, Gregory is a robot, the crying child's consciousness literally transplanted into a robotic body sometime after he dies in the bite of 83.
Which isn't that far-fetched, by the way. If you've ever seen Earthbound, I don't want to say what happens because it will be gigantic spoilers for that game, but that happens. So, you know.
Oh, and there were a lot of strong opinions on that, with some people really liking the theory and others not so much. Suddenly I was flooded by people
Darn it,
saying,
I was looking at all the NPCs here because I'm like, okay, is there anybody with blue hair? If there's anyone with blue hair, then I can chalk that up to being me.
Not so much. Suddenly I was flooded by people saying that I had rushed it out just to ride the trend, or that it was my dumbest theory ever, to which I say no, Deadpool is Ernest Hemingway is my dumbest theory ever. Closely followed by Wario being 10 feet tall. Anyway, the outcry was so huge that
Wario is not 10 feet tall. Wario is exceptionally girthy. This is reaching far. It's not very cohesive and sounds more like a thought that you had the first time you played instead of a well-researched theory. What are they talking about? Like, he referenced arcane lore in the books, and you're like, nah, that doesn't seem very well researched to me.
Trending on Twitter because of it, didn't get much better from there. Weird side note, later in the same week, I was trending again because a group of performers juggled to the song Megalovania during an event for none other than the Pope. It only took 5 years, my friends, but it looks like that Steam code I gave him for Undertale finally paid off.
They called me a madman.
Anyway, like I said, a lot of heated opinions on the last one.
Okay, so now it's like you need a primer on not even Five Nights lore, but like now you need a primer on MatPat lore.
Twitter basically boiled
that
down
I was not prepared for today.
4,000-word theory down to this single image. So yeah, thanks for not including literally anything else from that last video. So before we get to the next theory, all about.
Although, have y'all seen some of the memes? Somebody edited the video that said like he broke down the entire clip and then he was like, Gregory is Gregory.
Vanessa, let me just address some of the biggest counterpoints I saw to the previous theory. Not because I'm convinced I'm right, far from it in fact, but because
there was a timestamp here. I'm wondering, so what are we gonna have for filler here?
Anything else from that last video. So before we get to the next theory all about Vanessa, let me just
the connection between Baby and Vanessa.
Address some of the biggest counterpoints I saw to the previous theory. Not because I'm convinced I'm right, far from it in fact, but because I think that the Gregory is crying child theory currently fits the best with everything the game has presented to us thus far. First, one of the key pieces of evidence last episode was this line right at the start of the game where Freddy says to Gregory,
I feel you are broken.
This, to me, was a clear connection back to the crying child from FNAF 4 where psychic friend Fredbear says to him, you are broken. I mean, kinda speaks for itself. It's a parallel that's made stronger when you actually remember how that line gets delivered back in that game. There was really no way of knowing back when FNAF 4 was released, but thanks to a secret room found in Sister Location, we know that psychic friend Fredbear is actually a plushie with a walkie-talkie inside.
Ah, that is interesting. Because I'm also trying to remember, isn't there a thing... They talk about like how he communicates through the Fazwatch, which is almost like a walkie-talkie.
A walkie-talkie that allowed William Afton to scare and manipulate his youngest son. Father of the year, ladies and gentlemen. Also know that throughout FNAF 4, all of William's lines use the color FFFF57, a bright golden yellow. Golden bunny, golden yellow makes sense. But the iconic final lines of "You're broken, I will put you back together" actually use a different color, a lighter yellow.
It almost looks like... Okay, it almost looks like the same yellow here. See, this is the same yellow as... No, it's not. Never mind. But I was gonna say, this is the same color almost as the crying child himself.
FFFFA0. Back then, we never really came to a satisfying explanation. Was it a mistake? Was it another spirit? Was it maybe the puppet? But now, 7 years of investigation later, we know for sure. Someone else is indeed talking here. Someone who, in Sister Location, is mistaken for his dad. Someone who turns purple, just like his dad. Someone who can't die, like his dad. And someone who had the lines immediately prior apologizing to his kid brother, but when that didn't get through, decided to try comforting him through the voice of his best friend. It's Michael Afton, represented by a lighter color of yellow, a color that symbolically connects him back to his father. In short, we have Michael Afton in FNAF 4 saying the line "You're broken" to his brother through the voice of a Fredbear plush. And here in Security Breach, if we're right about all this, we once again have him saying the same line, "You're broken" to his brother through the voice of another Freddy, this time Glamrock Freddy.
There's also something very interesting in that too. The fact that Freddy says, I feel you are broken. Because I feel you are broken indicates that Freddy is capable, I'm in the way here, indicates that Freddy is capable of expressing emotion, which is not something that a robot is typically able to do. Like a robot would, robotics in a lot of instances are binary. You are broken or you aren't broken. There's not like a, I feel that you are broken.
I personally think it's a really
That's
cool
a human
narrative
thing.
Connection between all these games. But a lot of people were quick to point out that there's dialogue in the game files that was cut from the final release, where Freddy says that Gregory is bleeding. Specifically, he says,
oh yeah, I heard about this too.
And
I am detecting blood. You are injured.
This, for many people, disproved that Gregory's an animatronic. And I actually have two things to say about that.
One, because everything is deliberate. That could have been written before, and then they revised it so that they specifically didn't say that. That's what I think.
When I've used cut lines of dialogue in the past, the internet has in no uncertain terms told me that I can't. But now apparently it's okay. Yeah, kinda inconsistent there, guys, and honestly I think cutting it, regardless of the reason, shows that it didn't fit the final creative intent of the game. But anyway, if that's the case, then I gotta bring this line up. A cut line of dialogue discovered by GB Aura Recharged in the game files. This one is Freddy saying,
Gregory, I know why you're not in the customer database. I remember you from the...
and it cuts off. Obviously, it's vague. It's kept very intentionally vague. But it also shows that Gregory is special in a way that the other disappeared kids aren't. There's a reason he's not in the customer base. He's from somewhere specific that Freddy knows about. If I were to guess, I'd say like the underground pizzeria, but you know, that's just me hypothesizing. Adding to the Gregory is special idea is the fact that Chica knows.
Do y'all think, okay, let me know if on YouTube, let me know in the comments below. Do you think that they specifically leave? Okay, so hear me out here. That is not, some of this stuff I feel like is not actually unused dialogue. I think it's dialogue they never had any intention of putting in the game that they then leave, like they write specifically in an unused area of the file so that people see it and it influences the theories. I think we're at that level of like 4-dimensional chess now, where they could put red herrings in the unused game files just to mess with
his
people.
Name. She calls it out in the middle of the pizzeria. Strange detail for a kid who supposedly has no records in the system. Secondly, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news here, but in the books, because everybody loves when I go back to that well, animatronic children do actually bleed. They can also cry and feel cold. Heck, they can even feel hungry and eat. And you don't even have to go to the books for that one.
Spoiler for the books. Now what am I supposed to read this summer?
You can just see it with Chica's pizza obsession in Security Breach. So to tell me that a robot child can't bleed? Yeah, I think you gotta really look at the franchise that we're talking about here. And for everyone who is confused about the timeline of crying child still being alive and the fact
of all the things I
look at the franchise.
Come on now. When did Doki Doki Five Nights Club become a
that
thing?
We're talking about here.
Come on
and
now.
For everyone who is confused about the timeline of crying child still being alive and the fact that he would be older at this point, that wouldn't actually be
that
the
image
case.
is canon? Oh my god, this is why we can't have nice things. Ultimate Custom Night. Oh god, I forgot about, see, this is why I rely on y'all, chat. I forgot about all the different bits of lore you get in Ultimate Custom Night.
Animatronic children in the books stay at whatever age they're built to be.
The only thing I care about with Ultimate Custom Night, period. The only thing I care about with Ultimate Custom Night, 2 words: Mr. Hippo. If you don't like Mr. Hippo, friends, you got a problem with yourself. That's all I'm saying.
Emily actually had 4 separate versions of herself built, one for each stage of her life, so that way she could grow older, but she would just assume a new animatronic body each time. So crying child still being young would actually make more sense here. And to everyone saying, why would he say stuff like,
don't want to be crushed and twisted into a meat pretzel?
No, again, Charlotte in the books is shocked to learn her true nature in the final chapters. Her consciousness had been grafted onto a childhood toy while she was alive, and after her tragic death had been placed inside of a robot body to function as her memory. So
all right, I know it's super cheesy to drop Rick and Morty memes, but when he said his conscience had been grafted into a toy, I immediately thought of that like butter robot from Rick and Morty, where he's like, what is my purpose? And then he goes, you get the butter. And he just puts his head down.
All she knew, she was just a normal human being just like anyone else. Is it dumb? Yeah, I'll say that it is. Is
the
it
wet floor bot is awesome.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But
I gotta go back because I needed to acknowledge wet floor bot and the fact that it spins right round like a record. Amazing.
Being just like anyone else. Is it dumb? Yeah, I'll say that it is. Is it complicated? Oh yeah, absolutely. But is it giving us insight into the rules that Scott and everyone who touches this universe operate by? Yes, it undeniably is. Lastly, for everyone who spammed my feed with pictures of sad white boys in striped shirts saying that they found
Okay, chat, you're free for 1 second. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Dream! I almost dropped the F-bomb. I was not expecting to see this. Effin' Dream. That is, look, look, I know Matt takes his theories seriously, but good Lord, the fact that Dream is the crying child. Again, like I said with Mr. Hippo, if you don't laugh at that, you've got a problem with yourself.
Crying child, thank you for your help uncovering the lore. I get the joke. All white boys with brown hair and striped shirts are apparently the crying child. But remember what series we're talking about here, friends. Visual design details have always been an important part of figuring these games out. Take a look at Baby. During Sister Location, she has green eyes. But when you play her minigame, she has blue ones. At least until she kills Elizabeth Afton, who, lo and behold, had green eyes. Superficial design features like this help us to
Never would have made the connection. Now I'm learning about like sister location lore, getting all sorts of lore.
Dots. Are they the be-all and end-all of evidence? No, but they do help support an argument. So a little brown-haired boy in shorts with a shirt and 2 stripes seems sus.
Have you ever heard of Among Us, Gregory?
Speaking of eyes, for all the complaints about the last episode, no one seemed to have any answers to what I see as the 2 strongest pieces of physical evidence here. Why does Gregory look different when Freddy gets Roxy's X-ray eyes?
You look different to me.
And secondly, why does Gregory's vision glitch when he sees Vanny? Why does he have such a weird visual reaction to her and to literally no other character in the game? Well, you hear that high-pitched ringing sound as Vanny skips and gets closer? It seems
Oh my god. Actually got jump scared by Vanny right there. Was not expecting that. Was expecting the jump scare. Vanny skips more than runs.
Well, you hear that.
Actually, never mind. This weird, like, this Mr. Mime nonsense, I could do without.
Reaction to her and to literally no other character in the game. Well, you hear that high-pitched ringing sound as Vanny skips and gets closer? It seems to be a disruptor that makes her invisible to animatronics with older model eyes. In the fire ending, Freddy, who couldn't see her at any point in the game, explicitly says,
I can see you now. I have new eyes.
I mean, this is exactly how the much-hated sound illusion discs from the books work, creating a high-frequency sound to make people and robots invisible and or look differently, but I'm already fighting a losing battle over here, so I'm just gonna gloss over that one. Anyway, to me, it reads as Gregory's robotic eyes being disrupted. I mean, why have CRT lines over the screen and not some other type of filter to show that his vision is getting disrupted? In fact, why have the same CRT lines as the security cameras all around the Pizzaplex? But there's one final piece of evidence I'd like to talk about to help solidify that previous theory before we move on, and that is the screenshot.
Uh-oh, I muted my mic. I think all I said was interesting, and then I said Vanny is Mr. Mime. I think those are the 2 things I said. So we're good. I don't think I said much more than that. But yeah, I muted my mic when I picked it up.
Here of the final scene from the Savior
Whoops-a-daisy.
ending, where you rescue Vanny from the controller glitch trap. And I use quotation marks here because there aren't any official sources giving names to the various endings.
Because Kayla, that's what Mr. Mime does.
In files, they're just labeled as S1, S2, and S3 based on the number of stars that you get for them. It is worth noting though that this is the only 3-star ending that currently exists, which seems to imply that it has some level of importance to it. But here we see our 3 main characters, Gregory, Freddy, and Vanessa, all sitting on a hill, which, as I pointed out last time, is very similar to the FNAF 6 gravestone hill. But that's...
Who's up at the top of the hill here? That's what I want to know. What's the gravestone we can't really see?
Not what's important here. What I want to point out is the ice cream. Gregory is holding a golden Freddy-shaped ice cream with part of its head bitten off. If Gregory is not meant to parallel back to the crying child in any way, shape, or form, then this detail is just mean and irresponsible. This ice cream is the crying child's story coming full circle. He was terrified of animatronics and ended up being bitten by the golden Freddy spring suit, but now he's the one sitting on a hill taking a big old bite out of golden Freddy.
And meanwhile, Freddy next to him just doesn't seem to care, which is interesting. But what is the significance of the green ice cream? Green eyes, maybe.
That is not me reading too much into this. That is me lightly interpreting a very clear image that was put directly into this game by the designers. It is barely even subtle. And despite him wearing a blue shirt in most of the endings, here his shirt is colored purple, just like his father's signature color. Couple that with literally everything else, his lack of records, the fact that he goes into the charging station. So I stand by my theory that Gregory is an animatronic of the crying child. Is it a perfect answer? No. Do I love the fact that it complicates the lore even more? No. But does it answer the most questions with the evidence that we have? I believe it does, and it's a heck of a lot better than Fazgoo. But now...
Thank you! We talked about Fazgoo so much in the last one, and I just didn't much care for it at all. Also, the thing to me that always jumps out, first of all, this is the script, by the way, which is kind of cool. Second of all, one of the things that jumps out to me is, could you imagine being the writers for that game? Getting into meetings and being told that this is the way things go down. Because remember, Security Breach is a glitchy mess of a game. So we're supposed to believe that while it's a glitchy, disastrous mess of a game, that we love, by the way, I very much love glitchy, disastrous messes of games, they still managed to get all of these Easter eggs snuck into the lore. They couldn't program it so that Freddy doesn't push you through locked doors, but they put subtext lore in there.
4 pages into this episode, let's actually stop to talk about Vanessa, shall we? Last episode, I made a passing statement about how this final image felt to me like the 3 Afton children getting reunited. Crying child, Michael, and Elizabeth Afton, William's daughter that...
It would be interesting if they somehow, like... It would be interesting if in these they're all reunited, and then somehow... In another game, they all try and take down their dad.
Done got scooped by Baby back in sister location. It's a scene that, to me, feels like the narrative finally giving them a sense of closure after they quite literally die as a result of their dad's evil deeds. Last time, I briefly made mention of Vanessa's blonde hair and green eyes, which is the same as Elizabeth. And here, in this ending, we actually see 2 scenes of her wearing the signature Afton purple. Even the ice cream cone,
cool,
as opposed to something like Gregory's novelty pop, is a potential callback to her death, where Baby delivered an ice cream cone to her before she did the scoop. And when you look at the connections between these 2 characters...
But if they're all robots, why would they go get ice cream? Huh? And why wouldn't Freddy have ice cream? Like, if they're robots, what is the purpose of them consuming human food?
It's more than just a couple of visual similarities. The biggest secret in Security Breach right now is a series of 16 retro CDs, invisible collectibles that only Freddy can see, hidden in every obscure corner of the game's map. Then, to play these things...
Hidden in every obscure corner of the map. Literally, in the dead center of the mall.
Obscure corner of the game's map. Then, to play these things,
good point. Chica does love pizza.
Found the secret sister location room that we talked about last time. Now, these CDs are, they're problematic. They open up a whole separate can of worms. They're recordings of therapy sessions following 2 separate individuals, Patient 46 and Patient 71.
Why do I feel like that's going to be the third theory?
The exact identity of Patient 46 is a theory for next time that will absolutely launch us into yet another flame war, but early in Patient 71's tapes, we learned that it's actually Vanessa speaking.
Hello, Vanessa. How are you feeling today?
These are recordings from therapy sessions that Vanessa had while she was at the job for the FNAF AR game's special delivery. She mentions speaking to a man named Lewis on several occasions, and we discover that she's also buying fake fur, both of which are things that we see in emails from FNAF AR. By the last of Vanessa's recordings, she's leaving that job for a new job somewhere else, most likely the job of security guard here in Security Breach.
I'm needed somewhere else now.
But let's dive into the good stuff, shall we? In Vanessa's second tape, we learn about a custody battle that happened between her parents. Her dad won using manipulative tactics, forcing his daughter to falsely testify.
Your dad
made you all of this, I play video games to get away from this crap, man. I play video games to get away from all of this nonsense, right? All the custody battles and therapy and yeah, I've seen, I don't know if I've seen all of them, Sarah, but when they first started getting posted to YouTube, I saw a bunch of them. I'm not sure exactly how many. Parents, look, it's something bad happened to Scott at a Chuck E. Cheese. That's my game theory. And now he's decided that if he had to be miserable as a kid at a pizza emporium, he's going to make all of us associate childhood pizza emporiums with disastrous consequences. Maybe it wasn't Chuck E. Cheese. Maybe it was Showbiz Pizza, because it was back in the 80s.
Instructions, didn't he? I'm talking about the custody battle between your mum and your dad. Your dad didn't play fair, did he? He used to make your mum look bad in court.
That's not the kind of... Can we just, Can't we just drink tequila and forget about this?
Custody of her daughter, Vanessa's mother, well, here's what the tape does.
I know your mum after she lost the custody case.
It glitches, implying that her mother ended her own life, which would explain why Mrs. Afton is missing from all the games, and why she may have wound up being rebuilt as the motherly Ballora in Sister Location. A robot that, wouldn't you know it, sings about her inescapable depression now that the walls of her house are empty.
All I see is an empty room, no more joy, an empty tomb.
We also hear Vanessa lines like this.
Oh, you like those? Apparently, the janitor on this floor has a garden and has been putting bouquets in the offices here for years.
Vanessa likes flowers. A small detail, but you know me, small details could often be the biggest evidence. Who else do we know in the series that has an affinity for flowers? Well, think back to FNAF 4. Remember this random empty bedroom with a huge portrait of a flower on the wall? It's Elizabeth's room before she got scooped. Then...
But again, you mean to tell me they worked all of this into a game that can be speedrun in about 40 seconds?
You have Vanessa lines like this.
Lots of people know more than I do. Sometimes I need to listen.
Now, this might be a stretch, but I believe it's referring to when Elizabeth got scooped by Baby. Her dad had repeatedly and explicitly warned her not to go near Baby, but she didn't listen. And in doing so, she ended up getting herself trapped inside the animatronic.
Don't tell Daddy that I'm here. I wanted to watch a show too. I don't know why he won't let me come see you. You're wonderful.
Vanessa also says in her tapes that she doesn't like dark basements.
I have a craft space in my basement. Maybe I could come up with something you could learn to do.
But see, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. They couldn't figure out how to make Roxy not scream, "Why are you hiding from me?" from across the map. But they have the most complex lore in the history of video games.
Maybe I could come up with something.
I'm not saying they don't, I'm just like, come on.
It's another line that seems to be pointing us in the direction of Baby, who was trapped underground for years in Circus Baby's entertainment and rentals, looking for a way back to the surface.
Oh, and trust, I watch pro wrestling. I'm familiar with having to stretch logic to figure things out, but...
I've been out before, but they always put me back. They always put us back inside. There's nowhere for us to hide here. There is nowhere to go.
And to put one final nail in this coffin, right back in the second CD, we actually learn the name of Vanessa's father.
I feel like I know your dad, too. Bill, right?
Bill
William.
is short for William. That's just the game trolling us with a coincidence, right? Wrong. You see, going back to FNAF AR, we learned that Vanessa's last name begins with an A. From there, we can connect the dots. Bill A, William Afton. But didn't Baby burn at the end of FNAF 6? Well, yeah, she did, but you see how effective that was.
How are you not dead? I mean, to be fair, the thought that...
I love how that's just like... I love how you can be like, didn't that burn? Well, yeah, but ghosts are a thing. And then you're just sort of like, well, that's kind of irrefutable
burning
logic.
Him is going to work is stupid because people have tried to burn him to death no less than 3 times in this franchise.
It's almost like he enjoys
Spoiler
it.
alert, it doesn't work.
But here's the kicker. At the end of the game, we meet the Blob, a weird tentacle monster made up of all the original members of the series. FNAF 1's Chica and Bonnie, FNAF 2's Mangle, Sister Location's Funtime Freddy, a random endoskeleton crawling out of the bottom, the puppet man.
The random endoskeleton almost looks like a Foxy, doesn't it? The ears kind of, but then again, you've got that one, so I don't know why you would need... What is the relevance of this? I'm sure we're going to find out. And this has a very HAL from 2001-esque eye, which I think is sort of interesting, even though, again, my random observations mean nothing to the
Without
lore.
tears, I might point out, and Baby's face. Now, don't get me started on this being Baby's original face and not Scrap Baby's updated look where she came back to FNAF 6 in. I have words about that. Anyway, look at—
What did that say?
I have words.
Like, what the heck is this game even?
About that. Anyway, look at them all here on screen. You notice anything strange? Most of the animatronics' eyes are lit up. Funtime Freddy, Chica, Mangle, even this random endoskeleton at the bottom. But now take a look back at Baby's.
But the one in the bottom right is not. Y'all can't, the mask is not lit up, interestingly.
Most of the animatronics' eyes are lit up. Funtime Freddy, Chica, Mangle, even this random endoskeleton at the bottom. But now take a look back at Baby's mask. The eyes are blacked out. So although the Blob
isn't Baby on the backside though? Like you can't see Baby in normal gameplay.
Her spirit, the spirit of Elizabeth Afton, is no longer present. It is unaccounted for. It is on the loose, and as such, potentially at large within the game. Is she in some way Vanessa? And if so, how? The truth is, I don't know. This game has got my brain in so many knots, I might as well be a sailboat.
I mean, possession's a capable thing. Robots are a capable thing. Like, whoever built Gregory could have built a Vanessa robot or a series of Vanessa robots. Because that's the thing, we still don't know, at least I don't think, who built but then, why would Vanessa hate Gregory so much? You'd think they would have something in common. Especially since they both seem to be living at the Pizzaplex.
I don't think there's any evidence to support any conclusion at this point in time, but I do know that this is what the evidence is heavily pointing us towards. The design similarities, the missing spirit, the purple color, the ice cream, the voice lines, the personality traits, and again, the narrative theme of 3 Afton kids reuniting and moving on after a traumatic past. It gives everyone this nice full circle ending.
This is not nice! This is not full circle! He's a robot! She's a being of mysterious origin. He's a head. On what planet is any of this a good, happy... I spit all over my monitor. On what planet is any of this good, happy, or full... This is miserable. That's terrible.
If it's only meant to be symbolic. And the screen really does feel like it's the end, finally, for these 3 characters. Maybe next time we'll finally see some new faces. So enough about them.
No, see, I think they're all gonna buddy cop movie and try and take down their dad's spirit. I think that's what they gotta do.
We're moving past those 3. There's still other mysteries that we have to solve.
Oh, Vanessa doesn't hate Gregory, she just hates her job. Hashtag relatable.
What happened to Glamrock Bonnie? Who is Patient 46 and why are they here? What's the deal with that room full of Post-it notes? Yeah, you forgot about that one, didn't you? It's important. And
that
did you
is
happen to notice the other
no!
From this
Shut
game?
up!
Because I certainly
can't see anything. This, what did it? Uh-oh, I might have just restarted my computer. If we go down with the ship, friends, I'm sorry, but we got to go back here. This is obvious, right? This is MatPat's bedroom. We can all agree with that. Although, I'll tell you this, MatPat, I would not have candles so close to Post-it notes because that's flammable. But we all know
it's important. And did you happen to notice the other missing animatronic from this game? Because I certainly did, and I think they might be hiding in plain sight. So next time we get to cover some mysteries that don't require us talking about dead characters getting rebuilt into robots.
I'll believe it when I see it.
We're talking about William Afton. That's kind of unavoidable at this point. Oh, this franchise is so ridiculous. Anyway, next time we're gonna sweep up a few other mysteries as we try to make more sense out of the game that quite literally threw everything against.
He loves it and he knows he loves it.
The wall to see what would stick. Speaking of things sticking on walls, why don't you spice up your decor with some 80s-tastic magnetic posters that stick on your walls with today's sponsor, Displate.
I figured.
So I made Minecraft.
Ah, no, get out of here, Charlie. What's the matter with you? Is there anything after the Displate here? Displate's pretty cool. Apparently, they're paying MatPat a lot of money. So good for them.
As always, remember,
they're not paying me
friends,
money.
It's all just a theory. A game theory.
But we needed to hear the slogan. Wait, is there a jump scare here?
Let's hope this one goes over better.
Nope. No jump scare there. But I will hop back here just to have a little nice background action going on. I like them. I like that it... The nice part about these theories, as much as you want to tease them and pick them apart and all that kind of stuff, the effective thing about them is that they lend some connective tissue to what is otherwise a discombobulated mess, right? And I know I joked about it during the recordings that we play video games to get away from all of the nonsense, but when you have dedicated, what is it now, almost 10 years to a video game franchise, you at least want to be able to point out some of those Easter eggs. Like, it's cool when stuff in GTA calls back to earlier games, like Packy from GTA 4 was in GTA 5. That is cool. I love stuff like that. So to see it coming through in Five Nights is very interesting, especially when it seems like that's the building blocks for all of this madness that we've got going on. You know, when the third theory comes out, we're going to check it out, but make sure you let me know you want to see it by leaving a comment down below. Thank you so much, everybody who stopped by on Twitch. I know this is a little different than what we normally do on Twitch, and if you're on YouTube, make sure to subscribe. Take care, and I will see you for the Salty Run Back.